why are we looking at not your own overhead costs? And as former chief of staff of Governor Quinn's office, did you ask him to open the ASFE contract instead of going directly to cutting schools and services for these kids?
Couple of questions. First question, I believe, is why are we not looking at overhead? As I mentioned, DHS, although it is large, it is running very bare bones. Central admin is less than 1%. Our central admin staff are less than 1% of our budget. So whether there are increases or not, we've looked very, very hard. And in fact, our overhead has taken a 6% cut. We took a 6% cut this past fiscal year. So we're constantly looking. Anything beyond this, we just wouldn't be able to run the programs. And remember that this is a consolidated agency. So for that 1% personnel costs, for those central admin costs, we are doing the operations for what used to be 6 different agencies. There's been a consolidation and efficiencies generated over a number of years since 1997. Second question, when I was Chief of Staff, did I ask the Governor to open the contract? I will confess to you, Representative, I did not ask him with those words, would you please ask our union partners to open the contract. I have asked the question of how this conflicts with our rebalancing goals.
Okay. I just want to reiterate to the people here that we're asking for $79 million in personal services increases, and you're representing a $30 million cut to children that have not extreme disabilities, but are deaf and blind, and they can obviously be very productive in society. I have a best friend that has a blind child, and it's heart-wrenching to see that we would rather fund overhead type costs. And I went over
again, the governor's budget proposal had flat funding for the 3 schools in question. It was only when we were asked to reduce that number by 6.5% was there any discussion of closing anything.
Okay, let me just reiterate, the governor's budget was not in balance. We are forced by state constitution to have a balanced budget. So the governor has forced us to balance a budget. Unfortunately, we are asking you to help us in that task. I would like to know, by a show of hands of all of you sitting in front of us, who has state cars and drove them here today?
We have pool cars, which we all share.
Do they go home at night? Or
Sorry?
do they go home at night?
Not with me.